Well, I suppose it's not often that the most exciting pass in a Super Bowl highlight reel comes after the game. Hi, I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, and this episode of Right Angle is brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com. And gentlemen, if you haven't seen it by now, you're just not on the internet, or at least you're not on TikTok, let me put it that way. This is the pass that was made by Tom Brady to a whole gaggle of his fellow teammates. Throwing the Lombardi trophy, you know, that big silver trophy they give you when you work all your life to win a Super Bowl game, throwing it from the boat that he was on to another boat that appeared to be about 15 to 20 feet away over the water. Now, spoiler alert, they caught it and it didn't go into the drink. But Stephen Green, it just struck me as a little slice of Americana that here's a multimillionaire 43-year-old man who had won, 6 of these trophies before? Seven total or 7 before?
7
six
total.
Before.
Six before. Okay. So he'd won 6 of these trophies before, and he takes the 7th one and says, "Hey guys, catch." Meanwhile, you can hear on the video his daughter's sitting right behind him on the stern of the boat that they were on. His daughter's going, "No, Dad, no." And he underhand pitches it across the water. What kind of insight do you think this gives us to the kind of man who would devote his entire life to playing a boys' game as a multimillionaire, only to win this trophy that he then risks dropping into the bottom of the river?
Well, the first insight I had was a reminder again that boys and girls are different. His daughter is back there saying, "Dad, don't, Dad, don't." Whereas either one of my 2 sons, ages 10 and 15, would have gone, yeah, Dad, do it, come on. So we have that going for us, which is nice. It's been a bad few years for football specifically and professional sports in general. There was the taking the knee in protest, refusing to stand for the national anthem. The politicalization of sport has just. We used to talk about the joy of sport. That's a phrase. That's a common phrase in English, the joy of sport. And it's been sucked out by the woke brigade, by the scolds, by the Karens and all the rest. And Tom Brady's moment of levity reminded me that this is a game, that it's a fun game, and that winning isn't supposed to be some big, dreary, important statement. It's supposed to be a celebration. And he went out on boats with his buddies and his trophy, and they tossed it around over the water, and they had the thrill of victory in a very public and very thrilling way. I was never a Patriots fan because the Patriots, but this Tom Brady, this Tom Brady down in Tampa Bay is a Tom Brady I like in a way that I never liked the Tom Brady who played for the Pats. And I got to tell you, I grew up a hockey fan. That was my great-grandmother, of all people, had season tickets to the St. Louis Blues. And there were great seats, too. Were like two rows behind the Blues bench. And Red Berenson taught me how to cuss. It was great. He was their coach back then. But that team went longer than any other team in NHL history without winning a Stanley Cup, 50 years. And 2 years ago, they won their first Stanley Cup. And I'll never forget this. It was the game. The game was running a little late. We had kids to get to school early in the morning and all that. So I finished watching Game 7 on my iPad in bed. And when they won, I had an actual tear thinking of my great-grandmother who took me to all of those hockey games. But once I wiped the tear away, all I could think was, if I had the Stanley Cup for a few days, the way every NHL player does on the winning team, if I had Lord Stanley's Cup for a couple of days out of that year, what would I do with it? And I bet it would be something a lot like what Tom Brady just did.
Well, and I've seen some footage, thanks to our friend Jeannie Mose over at CNN, who actually doesn't know us from Adam. But I've seen some footage of people drinking beer out of the Stanley Cup. There was another guy who ate an entire box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch with milk out of the Stanley Cup. Rob Gronkowski, who played on Super Bowl teams with Tom Brady in New England and now has had an opportunity to repeat that in Tampa Bay, at one point with one of those New England Lombardi trophies, used it in what looked to be a batting cage to hit a ball of some sort, and it actually left a dent in the football that's part of the Lombardi trophy. It's kind of this obelisk with a football mounted on top of it. But Bill, the reason why this is such a big story right now is not just all the people in TikTok who said, hey, I think I actually like Tom Brady, frat boy. He's different than the guy I used to know. But it's because the daughter of the silversmith who designed and crafted the first Lombardi trophy has said that Brady ought to apologize to that family. This guy was a silversmith at Tiffany and Company for some 30 years, and she has an exalted view of this trophy as almost a sacred object, which it does appear to be when they award it after the game. But how do you account for this kind of dissociation between striving to win this hallowed trophy and then, treating it like it's a Nerf football in your backyard?
I think the explanation really comes down to this. If you had a family of 7 kids, especially 7 boys, and your first child is born and his temperature's up 2.5 degrees, you immediately rush him to the hospital and demand, that a doctor immediately pump antibiotics into him. And I want him MRI'd and stuff. He's got a little scratchy cough. By the time you get to the 7th kid, the kid is in the corner foaming at the mouth, basically. He's probably got bubonic plague breaking out. Throw him some aspirins. I think that's probably a significant amount of this. You win 7 of these babies, and it tends to take a little bit of the reverence out of it. I might point out, by the way, that I haven't seen the clip myself, but I have a fairly good feeling that even though he pitched it underarm, it was probably a perfect spiral, led the other boat, with precision and put that thing right where the boat was going to be. But yeah, I kind of agree with Steve on this. I mean, it's kind of fun. Unlike the Stanley Cup, the Super Bowl trophy is mass-produced in the same way that an Oscar is mass-produced. The Academy Award is mass-produced. There's just hundreds of them every year. And so as far as this daughter goes, I'm sorry on this one. I'm just not going to get on board the apology train for this one. I happen to think that the Super Bowl trophy is a good looking trophy. And when you compare it to the World Cup trophy, the World Cup trophy looks like it's one of 4 legs that should support the Super Bowl trophy. That's how pathetic and puny the World Cup trophy is. But I digress. Despite the fact that it's, I think, a good-looking trophy, it is not what I would call a masterpiece of fine craftsmanship. It's not a Fabergé egg, It's not like the entire surface is covered with these delicate engravings. It's a very, very well-proportioned silver football on a stand, and they're both pretty much flat. So I'm not going to kind of go into this whole, rich Corinthian leather engraved, Damascus steel kind of thing. No, I'm sorry. Brady can afford to be cocky on this one, because what Brady did, whatever you think of him, what he did really is probably in all of sports the single greatest example of showing people that you are the product. I mean, a lot of people, Brady'd be nothing without the Patriots. Well, let's find out. First year there, Super Bowl champion. That's scoreboard pointing that is, I don't think, has ever been matched in sports. And I think he's got a right to do whatever he wants to with that damn trophy. And I would point out, by the way, that pass was in fact complete. And I think that probably bears mentioning in all of this.
Well, while I have some empathy for the daughter of the silversmith who crafted this trophy, only just on a personal level where I know it's meaningful to her, I'm sure that, in conversation over the years, being able to say, my father designed the Lombardi trophy, one of the iconic pieces of Americana with which most people, not only in the United States, but the world, are familiar. And so I have some empathy there. Do I think that Tom Brady owes her an apology? No. Do I think getting sloppy drunk in front of your young daughter is a bad idea? Yeah. And so, but you get the sense that it wasn't the first time she'd seen that. And blowing off steam after, spending an entire year learning a new offense and figuring out how to get this group of strangers into the Super Bowl and to win the Super Bowl. Certainly understandable at that. I think it's awesome that they had a boat parade. That's really cool. I mean, I guess you can't do the ticker tape down Main Street parades like they used to given COVID-19. But I guess what I thought of was if Vince Lombardi himself were witnessing this spectacle and saw Tom Brady take that Lombardi trophy and pitch it underhand to the next boat, I think Vince Lombardi probably would have said, "Brady, you throw like a girl." For Stephen Green and Bill Whittle, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members at BillWhittle.com for making Right Angle possible.